Flowers, Lisa Mason Ziegler. And look, today's show is all about a lot of things, but fall crops are one of them. So I'm so glad you're here today. We'll be talking about these here shortly. So, welcome. Today I'm going to be demonstrating our commercial soil blocking tools as well as the hand tools. And we're going to be looking at all this gorgeousness that's blooming behind me, including, friends, some crops that I'm going to tell you it's just best to extinguish them at this time of the year because they just aren't as good as they should be, right? So we'll be looking at that. I do a drawing, and remember that's only for in-app viewers. And we'll wrap it all up with a live Q&A at the end. And if you have a question that you'd like to be to put in the pool, just put at Lisa, type your question, and then the team will pick all those up and pick a couple, and I would love to try to answer them at the end of the show. So before we get started, I just appreciate it so much when y'all hit that share button down at the bottom of your phone app, and that lets your friends know that we're live, that you're here, and invite them to come on over. So love that. And remember, just a little housekeeping, please be sure to check your email address and your phone number here in the app. Because if we go to ship to you and there's a typo, which is really common, y'all, I do it myself, then we have trouble and we can't ship your product. So check that out for me. And remember that here inside the app only, there's a little bonus. There is free shipping on seed packet only orders, right? And then also there is a cap on standard shipping. So it's $9.95 when you buy products, non-seed only package, right? And that's capped at $9.95. And remember, we ship to all 50 of the United States. Now, if you're watching us from social media on Instagram or Facebook, we are I'm glad you're here. So glad you found us, right? But what I want you to know is that we have a phone app. It is totally free. You can go right now, pop over to your phone's app store, search Gardener's Workshop, download it. It literally takes like 20 seconds, and then come right back. So remember that in the app, you get to make a favorites list, have replay. Can you go ask them to stop that? They're supposed to stop at 12. Sorry, y'all. We just have a lot of noise going on back here. So you can do your favorites, build that list, and you can go in and watch the replays of all the previous shows. And that is such a great way to view previous harvest, right? And a really fun part of this show is when you're in the app, you can participate in the comments with other viewers. And there's always lively conversation over there. Now, at every show, we always sell out of something. So you may go to a product to put it in your cart and it'll say, sorry, out of stock. Do you want to be notified? I recommend that you get notified because all that means is that you're going to get a little notification on your phone. But that way you know when it's being put back in stock. And sometimes they're literally bringing stock over from our big website over here to the app. So you don't want to miss out on that. And friends, we absolutely love it. I particularly find it very inspiring. When y'all post the sunflower emoji in the comments, those are people identifying themselves as our online course students, and we consider them family. So those are TGW family members that you see posting all those sunflower emojis. And so today, we give away something every single week, right? And today I am giving away a $25 store credit to one lucky in-app viewer. So hit that giveaway button now, and that'll put you on the list that we select from at the end of the show. And you do have to be here to actually get it. Now, we do have a little kind of untalked about special going on. We have a retired seed sale going on, and it's only here in the app, so you won't find these over in the store. And it's only a handful of seeds that we're discontinuing, and you can snag them at a big discount, y'all. So they're priced as marked. You don't need a coupon code or anything. And there's a tab at the top of the app. And if you don't see that tab, close your app and reopen it because it just got added, I think, this morning or yesterday. So if your app's been open, it may not show up. So friends, we always start every show off with my books. The Cut Flower Handbook literally can guide you from the beginning to the end of an amazing cut flower, whether you're a home gardener or a flower farmer. This is an incredibly powerful resource tool. It features over 66 flowers, 41 of which are cool season hardy annuals, better known as cool flowers. And when you purchase the book from us, not only do I sign each and every book, but we include the bonus PDF of the flowers that didn't make the book. So I would love to sign a book for you. It's hardback, gorgeous imagery. We just absolutely love doing that. So the book Vegetables Love Flowers, which is actually not about growing vegetables, y'all. It's why vegetables benefit from having flowers growing. And this book is all about telling you how to incorporate a small cutting garden into your vegetable patch to have cut flowers as well as to bring in all those beneficial creatures. But what I love most about this book, this really shares my natural gardening philosophy. This is the way that I farm and garden and how I actually do it. There's a 3-season garden in the back. I'll try to find that page that shows it going through the seasons, like succession planting. And this book, when you purchase from us, of course, I sign it, but it also comes with a bonus video book study, which is really fun. I mean, I interview the photographer and my sister, and it's a whole lot of fun. So would love to sign that for you. And of course, there's the book that started it all, y'all. This is Cool Flowers. This was my first book. We just celebrated 10 years this year, and it is written for the home gardener based on my years as a flower farmer, but it is definitely applicable. Even if you're a flower farmer, this is where you need to start if you don't know about cool flowers. This book also comes with a video book study, so would love to sign that for you, and that's just a must-have for your library at home. So I'm going to just talk for a moment about soil blockers. That's going to be our big headliner today, right? And it's because we now have a commercial set of blockers, right? So the Swift blockers are those that are the commercial blockers, but I want to just share with you how I choose which blocker, right? And it's all about the number of plants that I want, as well as what seed fits into which block. So let's just talk about that for just a minute. So I'll just show you this. So this tray actually has the small hand tool 3/4 inch block. This is Billy Balls, by the way, y'all. Just born. It was just sown on the 9th of September. So y'all have to count the days. I don't even know what today is. These are 12. It's the 20th, right? 12 days old. So this is the small blocker. This is the one that I use most of the time. Only time I don't use this typically is when the seed will not fit, right? So that's the small 3/4 inch block. I also want to show you the Swift blocker. So that's what I call the hand tool, the small blocker. The Swift Blocker Mini 75 is the next size up, and that blocker makes 75 9/10 of an inch size block, which in fact doesn't seem that much bigger, but it is. It's like twice the volume of soil. So here's a tray of some safflower that is just starting to pop here, and this is the Mini 75. So this is 75 blocks of the 9/10 of an inch. Now, the kind of you got to pay for everything, right? So there's pros and cons to everything. So the Swift 75 is quicker. You can make 75 blocks really, really quick, but only 75 fit on that same size tray. With the small blocker, 100 fit there. So it's what's significant to you, efficiency or number of plants. So you kind of have to choose that. In addition to that, the Swift Blocker Mini 75 block is just a little bit bigger, right? So it gives you a little bit more wiggle room on watering, and the plants can stay in the blocks a little bit longer. Stuff like our rooster peppers, which you're going to see today in our lineup. I used to start them in the small and then bump them up to the 2-inch before the Swift Blocker. Not now. We just start them in the Mini 75, and they grow in that block to get a nice size plant. And so other things that I plant in the Mini 75 is amobium, marigold, scabiosis. There's just a whole bunch of seeds that are right on the borderline that it just may be simpler for you to start in the Mini 75. Now, the Mini 27, which is the other commercial blocker, makes 27 of the 1.5 inch size blocks. So that's the next size up. So we've done 3/4, we did 9/10, and so this one is 1.5 inches. And this is really great for sowing sweet peas and sorrenthy and calendula. You can even do salvia cuttings in it. I start ornamental kale in the Mini 27 because I put 3 to 5 seeds in each block, right? So there's a lot of great uses for that one. And then the last size that we have is the hand tool 2-inch blocker. So let's just say you're a small grower or you're a home gardener. You don't need the Mini 27. You don't need 27 of anything, right? That's in that big seed family. But we use the 2-inch large blocker, which you're going to see me demonstrate all of these in just a moment. And that's what we use when you need fewer plants and you have a large seed, right? And also you can use that to bump up the 3/4 inch up to the 2-inch, which I rarely do, but when I do it, it's incredibly important. Eucalyptus, tomato plants, pepper plants, right? So it's really useful for that. So we're going to do the demo next. But before we do that, I just have 2 more. Y'all, we have so many thriving babies here right now. I can only pick 4 trays. So I've already shown you 2. I wanted to show this. This came off the heat this morning. This is the 3/4 inch block. And guess what this is? I get questions about this one all the time. This is scabiosis. And you move from heat to light when 50% of them have germinated. And here you go. So literally, that's why they're white. They haven't been under grow lights yet. So that is the scabiosis. And then the one that we often get questions about, here are snapdragons. This is the Chantilly mix that is growing in the small 3/4 inch block. So I just had to share. We have so many babies going on. So now I'm going to demo the blocks for you. So I'm going to start off by using our small blocker because that's the one that I use most frequently. Now this is truly what we call blocking mix. We don't use regular seed starting mix. Seed starting mix in containers actually, so let's get a little bit of an adjustment going on here.
Oh, that's not how I see it.
Yeah. So stand by just a minute, y'all. It takes just a second. So the blocking mix is really dense. Most soil blocking seed starting mix is very light and fluffy. And light and fluffy is great when you're in a container, but it's not so great when you're making a block that you want to handle. So this is the 2-inch blocker. And I am just pushing it down into this blocking mix. Now, the blocking mix is available ready-made, and also we have the recipe for you to make it at home. This, in fact, is a potato masher, and that's what you use to strike the bottom off, just to make it flat. And we always use trays with no ridges, and it's flat with no drainage holes. Place the blocker down, give it a squeeze, and they pop right out. And then I would sow a seed into every size. So the blocker that I spoke about is the Mini 75, and I'm going to show you how I make those. You can take that away for just a minute. And I always put gloves on for this because I've tried this a lot of different ways, and this is the most efficient. And I'm going to try to do it efficiently because let me tell you what happens. If you do this super quick and dump a lot of soil along the edges, you can't really clean that out because of the sides of the blocker blocks that, and then that's going to be a problem for the whole time that you're watering seedlings here inside. And certainly it's amazing how much talking slows me down. I always pay really close attention to the edges and just make sure everything gets enough soil pushed in. And I always wear gloves for this job because it's just easier to peel off your gloves And then what I find, again, I'm going to use that in just a second, is I try to get the lion's share of the excess off before I use the scraper. And so this is the cedar scraper. And I can't tell you what a great job this does and just makes it super easy. And you don't have to be perfect about that. You're just getting the excess off. And here's a little tip. You can actually sow surface sown seeds, which is the lion's share. We're talking snaps, celosias, basils, lettuces, all of them. You can actually sow them using the cedar on here before you push it out. Because when you then do this, kind of pull up, friends, look at that. How amazing. And you just firmly seeded those seeds that you would have sown before you made the blocks, and you're done. That's why the Swift Blocker is more efficient. It's just less steps and you can go really fast. So that is the Mini 75 that makes 75 of those 9/10 blocks. Now we're going to go up to the large seed for the small grower and the someone that just doesn't need a lot of plants, right? Again, I'm using my potato masher, y'all, to gather up a lot of soil. And what you'll soon figure out when you start using the larger size blocks, they take a lot more blocking mix. And I have just found it not only time I use the larger blocks is when I absolutely have to. And that is purely because of space constraints and soil use. So again, a tray with flat on the bottom, giving it a push and a pull, and look, you've made 4 containers in a moment, right? And so this is the size block that I normally sow sweet peas into. And literally, I am going to need a toothpick. I literally drop the sweet pea. Oh, that might work better. Drop the sweet pea seed into the little hole. See, it makes a dimple to receive the seed. And then, see, sweet peas need to be covered. So you just literally push the sweet pea down further into the block, and that creates the darkness that it actually needs. How quick and easy that is, y'all. Pretty amazing, right? Now, the other Swift Blocker is the Mini 27. And that makes 27 of these 1.5-inch blocks. So that's a little bit smaller than the 2-inch block. And I really use this one a lot. I really like, you know what else I used it for this year is I planted my beets in this and put multiple seeds in each block. And it was just pretty amazing. All right, so once again, I am going to fill these up. And you just really, this really takes a lot of soil. Sorry, y'all, my head just hit the camera. And you have to really pay good attention to the ends. After you've made this, and here's the best thing, y'all, this is like painting. If you screw it up, you just have to paint over it. If you screw up making the blocks, just dump them back into the tray and start over again, right? You can see how much soil this takes. And that's okay. But I'm just saying, don't jump to the larger size blocks unless you need it for a reason, right? And it's really very relaxing, y'all. There's a reason children love to play in mud. Okay, we're going with this. And again, I just scrape the excess off to minimize the amount of oozing on the sides. And then I'm going to use the scraper. Now the scraper does scrape both sides blockers, but it only fits to the cedar on the Mini 75, which is really the only one you need to do it with, right? So if I was a small grower, you can use this size block for sunflowers. I mean, there's really a lot of uses. And so I'm just going to make this with this on here. So you put the top tray on. Friends, look at that. Look at that. How amazing, right? You just made 27 containers in a nanosecond, right? So that is the different size soil blockers. All right, so now the deal of the day, every time we have, every show we have a deal of the day. Sorry, y'all, I'm peeling my gloves off. There you go, thank you. So the deal of the day this week is that we don't normally offer the Swift blockers over here in the app because the Swift blockers normally have additional shipping charges because they're so heavy, right? So the deal of the day is that we're offering them here in the app and they're capped shipping at $9.95. That's a savings of $3 to $20 depending on where you live. We're in Virginia. For you folks on the West Coast, and we send a lot of boxes to the West Coast, there would have been an additional charge because that's how much it cost us to ship it, right? So that is the deal of the day, and this is only in the app, and it's only for the stock that's here in the app, and that will be available through Sunday at 8 a.m. Eastern time, right? So there's a couple of different ways you can actually purchase these. So the kit is the best. I absolutely love it. So the kit gives you 5 of those amazing trays. That's these. These are lifetime trays, y'all. They are super dense, so they don't flex. You get 5 of these trays. You get the mini 75 blocker, which fits beautifully. In fact, it was kind of made for these trays. Plus, you get the scraper and you get the DIY nutrient to make your own soil blocking mix at home. You add your sifted compost and peat moss or cocoa fiber. And this will make about 6 recipes. So you get all of this stuff for $267.95 with only $9.95 shipping. So this is the Swift Blocker Mini 75 kit, right? All this stuff is available individually, but this is the kit, right? And it is pretty, that just gets you set up, right? So now you can also just purchase just the Mini 75 and we're trying really hard to not get dirt up here and I'm kind of messing it up. This is it, y'all. Look at this. And these are made in Michigan, by the way. These are USA made by an actual flower farming family. So we just really love these. And, if you're just starting out, you don't start with the commercial tools, right? I mean, I still use the small blocker a lot. But this is where you're working towards, right? So here is the scraper that scrapes both of the commercial blockers, but it only seeds the mini 75. And I'll tell you, friends, snapdragons, celosias, which we hear more pains about people, they're so tiny. You dump your seeds right here and you literally can just take your finger and take the seed and drop it in the hole. It's actually kind of like, this will age me, y'all. Did you play Light Bright? I loved Light Bright. Or do you like cross stitching? This is like will feed your need. So that is the scraper, which is 30, where is the scraper? $38.95. Sorry, y'all. So, and I find it super helpful to have it. Now, the Mini 27, which is the one you just saw me do, and that I talked about for larger seeds, sunflowers. I use this for kale because for our cut flower kale, we want to put a bunch of plants really tight together to keep them from getting a really big stem. So the Mini 27 is $208.95. And this will have you, and these are lifetime. Again, y'all, these are made in Michigan. So that's really pretty awesome. Now, the other size that you saw me actually make was the 2-inch blocker. And here's the hand tool that makes that. And this is, so we have the large blocker with the inserts. Yeah. So they're coming together. Oh, so we have the set in here today, y'all. We don't normally do that. So the large blocker, which comes with the nipple, where the nipple's not here, but it has a nipple. You have to pop them in when you actually get it. It's a little, and that makes that dimple that you saw me make. But it also, we're including with the set this week, the inserts that you literally pop in. You have to push kind of hard. There it is. And that makes the perfect size hole in the top of your block to receive the 3/4 inch block. So the set is $55.90, and that's you'll love that. I mean, I can't tell you how awesome it is to have the small and large blocker in the inserts. That empowers you to do anything, but to have that commercial size in between, especially when you start growing, you'll just find that it fits. Now, the small blocker, which is the most popular one that we've ever sold throughout our, since business started, and this is the kit that is a customer favorite. You get the small blocker, and we import these from England. You also get a bag of the ready-made mix. Now, this already has the nutrients in it, y'all. This does not need anything but your water added to it, right? And this will make about 500 of those small 3/4 inch blocks. So the kit has that. It also comes with your choice of either 3 warm season tender annual seed packets or 3 cool season seed packets. It asks you when you're checking out which one of those you want. And it also includes my seed starting made easy online course. And this is like 116 minutes long, broken up into a bunch of sessions. It takes you from beginning to end of seed starting with soil blocking. It takes you through sowing seeds in the garden. It takes you through using the commercial line of the soil blockers, as well as sowing sunflowers and plug trays. So it's all inclusive, and you have lifetime unlimited access to that. It also comes with 5 of those flat bottom foam reusable trays. It includes the seed pan, the toothpick dispenser, and the plant IDs. So that, let me put that right there. Oops, thank you. So it comes with trying to balance all this stuff, y'all. Whoop, that bag's heavy. Yeah, so it comes with all of this for $89.95, and it only has $9.95 shipping. So let's just say you get this and you got a Swift blocker. You only pay $9.95 once, friend. You get charged one flat rate shipping fee of $9.95. So this has everything you need to get started soil blocking, right? So now, if you're the person that wants to make your own blocking mix at home, we got you covered there too. This is called our DIY mix, DIY kit. So it comes with the small blocker. This makes 20 of the 3/4 inch blocks. It comes with that aluminum seed pan, which couldn't live without these. There's no static electricity in this, y'all. Makes sowing your seeds so much quicker. And it comes with the DIY nutrient mix, which is powder. It's green sand and rock phosphate powder. And you add your peat moss or cocoa fiber and compost, all that's been sifted. We even recommend sifting our ready-made mix, y'all. All seed starting stuff should be sifted. And all of this comes together for a kit for $49.95, so you can make your own blocking mix at home and you're set up to start soil blocking. Now, you can purchase separately the soil blocking mix. Again, we recommend sifting all. When you're using living soil, we don't use sterile soil at all. When you start using living soil, which means it has compost in it, there's going to be chunks, and peat moss has chunks. Chunks, think about those small blocks. So we recommend sifting it all, even our ready-made mix. This is $15.95, and it makes about 500 of those small blocks. And it just really is very dense and super heavy because it's not fluffed up like most soil mixes are, because they go into containers. It's totally different. Now, we made this incredible soil set because so many people do soil blocking, right? And so let me show you the stuff in here. This includes our toothpicks. Toothpicks, that's how we sow most of our seeds, right? It also includes the fungus gnat fighting kit, which is the yellow sticky traps, and then the bits to go into your watering can. I put the watering can bits every Wednesday. My watering can gets bits in it, right? It also comes with that seed pan. You can never have enough of those. And it comes with the DIY nutrient that you only need to add to the soil that you make at home. Our ready-made does not need this. And here's the best part of it, friends. This is the sifter. This fits perfectly on the top of a 5-gallon bucket. I mean, it makes no mess. I recommend doing it outdoors. This is a great winter project. Buy a bale of peat moss, several bags of compost, and just sift all your product that you're going to need to make soil. Store them separately, and it's like baking a cake. You just scoop out what you need for the measurements, and you're ready to roll. So you get all of this, and piling it all back in here, y'all. This is $58.80, and it's all available separately here in the app, but you can get the set with a little savings, and that'll just help you getting your soil. All that dusty soil stuff, y'all. All right, so here's those trays you're seeing me use. These are foam trays, but we use them over and over from year to year. They come in the mini size, which holds that cluster of 20. 5 of these are $1.95. A 25 pack is $6.95. Then we have what we call the small. It'll hold 2 sets of 20 or 2 sets of 4 of the 2-inch block. It's tight, but it'll definitely work. And so these are $2.95 for 5 of them, or a 25 pack for $12.95. Then we have the what we call the large, and this is what comes in the kit. This is $3.95 for a 5-pack or $12.95 for a 25-pack, and that holds 3 sets of 20.
$15.95.
Oh,
you read the small.
Yeah. So sorry, $15.95. Sorry, y'all. All right. So next up is our waterproof marker. Use this thing all the time in the garden and inside here. This is made to resist UV rays and moisture. It lasts. Look at this stick. I mean, this fall, this stick was outside for a year and a half, and you can still read it. This was Royal Mix, the sweet peas. So it really holds up, is what I'm showing you. You can write on plastic, masking tape, and wood. And this not only is an excellent stocking stuffer, you could just never have enough of them. So check out our garden marker. Now, a really big part of the seed starting journey is, even for cool flowers, is a seedling heat mat. Seeds need the signal of warmth to hot to tell them to break dormancy and sprout. So even cool seasons need it. So this will hold about 4 of those trays you just saw me use. So if you use the large tray, that's like 60 times 4, like 240, right? You start 240 blocks, but if you need an even bigger seedling heat mat, we have a bigger version of this over on our big website. So this has a built-in thermostat, which is run from the air temperature, and this is $38.95, and I will say this is a key piece of what so many people skip, that they're suffering from. That's why they're having actual failures. All right, so look at this, y'all. This is my favorite watering can. We call it the long spout. This is super easy to use to water your soil blocking trays. This is the one that flower arrangers use to fill vases up that have big arrangements on them, right? So this is stainless steel. It holds 4 cups of water. It is $29.95, and we absolutely love this watering can. And it's pretty. You can leave it sitting out, right? And then here is the other one that we brought this in as a special offer last year, and y'all loved it so much we've just kept it. This is what we call the espresso watering can. Look how cute this is, y'all. This holds 2 cups of water, has a shorter spout, and this looks really beautiful just to sit out with your houseplants. But it's also great for watering soil blocks, and my sister loves using this for bouquets. It is the perfect size vase, right? So this is $29.95. It holds 2 cups of water, and it's stainless steel, and we love them both. If you had to make me pick a favorite, I just couldn't really do that, y'all. So this is the fertilizer that I use in my grow room, and we even use it out in the field. So this is Neptune's Harvest Seaweed Fish, and the directions, I follow the houseplant directions. On the back for my watering can, you add a tablespoon to a gallon of water. And when I water on Mondays, I just add this to the watering can, right? Out in the garden, you can use it in a couple of different ways. You can foliar feed. You can either spray it on the foliage of your plants, or you could use a watering can with a sprinkler head on it and sprinkle it on your plants if you don't have many. And you can use it as a soil drench. That's where you just mix it up and pour it on the soil and it soaks into the roots. And this feeds your soil, y'all, not just your plants. So we love Neptune's Harvest, and this is $18.95, and that is a 18-ounce bottle. So we often get asked about this. This is the fertilizer that we use here on the farm. This is a chicken litter based, and it's this is a 4-pound bag. It's $14.95. It's pelleted in there. You put 3 pounds to 100 square feet, which that's about 7.5 cups. And we have all that information right here on the front of the label. And again, you're feeding your soil and making your soil healthier with each application. So if you need a bigger bag of this, you can find it over on our big website. This is $14.95. Now, y'all hear me talk about this all the time, but this, I wouldn't be where I am today if I had not started using biodegradable film. It just allowed me to scale my farm so very much because of how much it suppressed weed seeds from sprouting. And so the biodegradable film has a dark side and a light side. Depends on the season and the weather as to which side I put up when I'm actually making the bed. It is not at all like landscape fabric. We get asked about that all the time. This is easy enough that you can pop your finger through it if you wanted to, but we make our beds, and this is a 48-inch wide piece that would work up to a 36-inch wide bed because it's on the top, goes down the sides, and then you just push soil or mulch up around the edge to seal the entire bed to keep wind from getting up underneath of it. We actually use this in the fall. We make our beds. We're getting ready to do it with black side up. Now, it comes in a couple different sizes and packs. It comes in a 50-foot piece as a single piece for $24.95. It's 48 inches wide. Or you can buy a 6-pack of the 50-footers for $119.95. And I just can't emphasize enough how much labor savings and how much it suppressed my weeds using this. Then it also comes in a 100-foot piece. We just started offering that recently, and a 100-foot piece is $39.95, or you can get a 3-pack for $110.95. And there's videos on the product that you can watch showing how we put it down by hand for years before I got a tractor. I use it on a tractor now with an implement, but we laid it by hand for a really long time. So another awesome tool that I use is insect netting. And this is insect netting. It kind of looks like row cover, but it's very, very different. It does a different job. So insect netting was created to do that. It was to create a barrier between insects flying in and getting on your plants, and it works awesome for that. I use this on our kale and stuff and our broccoli to keep the moth off of it. But I use it for other things too, friends. I make a sun cap out of this when it's a scorcher of a day, 97 degrees this last summer. We sun capped the Celosia and did not lose any plants to heat exhaustion, which is incredibly unusual. And also moving into the cool season now with cool flowers, I will sun cap the transplant beds immediately if it continues to be hot outside and it shades it. So it doesn't trap heat like a row cover actually does. So this it's 6.5 feet wide, just like row cover. And it's available in 20-foot pieces, which is $33.95, 50-foot pieces, which is $82.95, and a 100-foot piece, which is $159.95. And I will tell you that this is like working with pantyhose. It is so easy to use in the garden and much more durable than a row cover is. And just absolutely love this stuff. And I keep finding more uses. All right, so now that row cover. So row cover does something different. It allows 85% of air, water, and light to penetrate it. And I really love using floating row cover, particularly as we're moving into cool flowers over the winter, not because my plants need cold protection, but it protects them from wind damage. Think about standing outside when it's cold without a coat on. The wind whipping is what just really chills you down. Same thing with your plants. Now, this is now available. We have 3 lengths available here in the app. We have a 20-foot piece, which is $12.95, a 50-foot piece, which is $26.95, and a 100-foot long piece, which is $42.95. And this is all 6.5 feet wide. And longer pieces and rolls are available over on our big website if you actually need that. Couldn't do cool flowers without row cover. Another reminder that if you want to be included in the drawing for the $25 store credit, hit that giveaway button, and that will get you lined up to be on that list, and you might be one of those lucky winners. Now, I always mention as we're heading into the flowers now, y'all, storing seeds properly. Seeds should be kept cool and dry. And so we use desiccants in our seed storage to help get any moisture and humidity that might be in there. You can get a 2-pack of these for $2.95, or you can get a 10-pack for $9.95. And that's just your insurance policy that your plants, sorry, did I almost pull your finger off?
No, I just want to make sure you see it's open.
So before I start the flowers, because I'm going to do pumpkin on a stick first, y'all, right? But before I do that, one of the biggest problems that I faced, and I know that y'all face too, is the thorns that are on pumpkin on a stem. Pumpkin on a stick is an eggplant, and it has some pretty ferocious thorns on it. And so I reached out to Dave Dowling and said, is there some magic way that people get rid of the thorns on on the pumpkin on a stick? Because it's a problem. And he said, his reply was, very carefully, is what he said. But this is how we do it. This is a florist knife. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to teach you how to use a florist knife here. You can go over and Google that, how to use a florist knife, and there's people that can give you all the ins and outs of using this. But when you hold a florist knife properly, there is a vicious thorn right there, and literally you just scrape it off. And that's what it takes. You can figure out how many you're going to remove and how you're going to do it. But this is the way that we would take them off. And we do have a few of these in stock. I mean, there's literally only like a handful of them. So you can get one, but you have to remove those thorns if you want people to come back and buy more flowers the next week, right? And that's the way it's done. There is no magic way to do that. So this, my friends, is pumpkin on a stick. And let's talk about a couple of things here. First off, I left one leaf. See how chewed up that is? That's flea beetles. Do that to us here. So you defoliate all the foliage. And down here, they bloom at the base of the stems first. And see, this is a rotten bad one down here. You would just remove that. So don't worry about those low ones. Just kind of ignore them. And in fact, you can harvest them early on and put them in a bowl, especially when they're green. Love them when they're green. That's what this is. So pumpkin on a stick is the crop you want to be coming in September, late September, and into October. And again, that is a, which way do I go here?
This way.
Be careful. All right, so I'm really going through some of my favorite love for fall harvest, right? Now, the next one is, y'all know I just absolutely love these gourds. I cut these this morning, many of these really dark ones. I mean, little wooden bowls of these, tablescape potentials. These are pretty amazing. The spinning gourds are super easy to grow, and you don't need to plant but 1 or 2 vines. They're very productive. And then as they dry, you can harvest them dry or fresh. This is dry. And then you can make all kinds of cool stuff. Look, Susie made ghosts to go on our tree last year for Halloween. So it's got an endless opportunity for winter crafts if you've got kids. That is super fun to do. So spinning gourds is really fun. And then this is a cool flower, y'all. This is Tweedia. And, it just won't stop blooming this year. This was planted in the very early spring timeline. And you can get on the wait list for the seeds. And so we're trying fall planting this year again with more protection, but I find very early spring really does great. And look at that blue color. It is really beautiful. And I want to show you one of our basils. I've heard from so many people about diseases, and you can see that we also, you might or may not be able to tell, there's all kinds of spots on these leaves. There are several. I mean, there's gray spot, there's bacteria spots, there's, I think it's called gray mold, and there's, what was the disease we said?
What was that? I told you she'd ask you.
I forgot. I'm sorry.
Foo something.
Yeah.
Fusarium.
So there's all kinds.
Fusarium.
Fusarium.
There
Yeah.
it is.
And so there's lots of diseases, and they actually, lemon basil is definitely susceptible to that. So we get it great all through the summer, but when fall starts, it starts to look a little yucky, and the time you just pull it out and get rid of it, y'all. But diagnosing it by sending your plant some foliage to your extension agent to let them find out exactly what you're dealing with is the only way to figure out if you can prevent it and what your rotation should be. But lemon basil, I couldn't resist sharing that with you guys. So that's not usable, but that's what it looks like. Of course, hairy balls is a great fall crop, right? And this is the stage I prefer to harvest them in when they're smaller and greener. Once they start to get that burnt kind of look, not burnt, it's like they've got a bronze look to them. In my book, they're too old. That's like selling an old flower. So this is the seed pod. It's called Gumpacarpus physocarpus. It's very well known in the cut flower industry, and it is tons of fun to grow. And it's a monarch hosting plant as well. And of course, our hyacinth bean vine is loving life right now. So this is growing on our tunnel. I call it Jack and the Beanstalk because literally it'll grow a foot a day. It does not reseed very much for us here, so it's not really aggressive that way. It gets winter killed, but it grows and the bees love it. So if you're looking for something for your native bumblebees, this is a good one. So this is what it looks like. The flowers, they only last about a day, and then they start developing. You can see all these different stages. So look at these little baby beans, and then this, and these bean pods will fill up. I mean, they are edible beans. They'll get big lumpy beans just like a snap bean does. These are amazing for fall tablescapes. You can lay these on the table. You can use them in cut flat in mixed bouquets. This is super fun to grow, and again, they just really come into their own at this time of the year. So that is hyacinth bean. Now, this is one of my favorite grasses, and I'm not sure how well y'all can see this. This is frosted explosion. And when I cut this is too late to harvest. This is how it should look in your customer's home. You cut it as it's just coming out of the leaves. But when this has dewdrops on it, and you can see it's got these teeny little seed heads, and they aren't even really seeds, but there's a reason it's called frosted explosion. This is absolutely, customers love this stuff. We grow this actually from the beginning of the season all the way through, but it is a great addition to your fall offering. Now, eucalyptus is made for fall, and I cut these this morning, and I did not cut, I wanted to just kind of show. This is the central stem that was out in my garden, and I cut the top of this off a couple of weeks ago and made flowers for y'all to see. But I just want you to see how many, look at all, this is a stem, this is a stem, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is a bunch of eucalyptus, right? And this is silver dollar, which is just the bigger, most frequently seen eucalyptus. Totally love this one. And so this is my favorite go-to. This is parvula gum. And I love this one because it's a little bit different colored leaf. It's more green, like winter green, and the leaf is smaller. And I haven't stripped this. So and depending on what you're doing, this could be usable, right? I mean, you don't want to throw away a drop of eucalyptus, right? So this is parvula gum. And then this, I just love, and this doesn't even this looks so different, right? This is polyanthemus. And the leaf is totally different. I just love how fluid it is. I just love this stuff. And it's pretty beautiful. And so that's actually a second stem. This is a stem. So this could be a stem, and this could, and this could. And again, it just depends on what your end use is. So for me, September means eucalyptus. Oh, so somebody's asking about what do I do with my eucalyptus. So I live in zone 8A, and if you live in zone 7, 8, or 9, you definitely should try to winter your eucalyptus over. Now, if you have a hoop house, which I don't have, that's a whole different story, right? You can winter it over even more north. But what I do in the winter to try to winter it over is cut it down to 12 to 18 inches, then pile it high with leaves, hoop and row cover it with a double lightweight row cover, and that gives it enough protection that every year we've tried that, we've wintered it over. And why do you want to do that? Because you get twice the harvest the second year, and if you get it a third year, you just can't imagine how big it gets. But it's a gamble each and every year, right? So definitely try that if you want to even get more. So that means when you're planting your garden, you need to plant eucalyptus where it could potentially be wintered over. See, for us, we have to plant that in a special place because we tear everything down. So check that out. Now, this, my friends, is Texas plumes. These are the most amazing mix of big, beautiful blooms. And we had this seed grown for us. So this is a celosia plume. It gets super tall. If you only could grow one celosia plume, this is the one. I will tell you that we won't be restocking until next year. So you need to get seeds while they're available. It has every color: shrimp, cream, dark purple, not purple, but maroon, and just lots of buttercream colors. So that is the Texas plumes. And of course, Gumphrena is made for fall. We succession plant it all year because we use it fresh, and we're still using it fresh. The dried Gumphrena we typically try to get done in August, that harvest. Look at the stem length on this Gumphrena. This is Audra White. You always, always have uses for white flowers. And I can tell you, if you're selling to commercial customers, they will love. This is one of the cleanest white flowers, and they will absolutely love it. So this is Audra White, excellent stem length. And then look at this. This is the purple red, which is basically purple. This makes every mixed bouquet pop. And look at the stem length, y'all. This is absolutely amazing. I mean, to have fresh crops coming in for the second busiest season of the year, fall, spring being the first, fall second, you should have tons of new stuff come. I don't mean new flowers you haven't grown before. I mean fresh crops to cut from. That's what the superpower of a flower farmer is: succession planting. This is Audra Rose Bicolor. People love this. It's like they think it's not real, right? It looks like an eyeball. You could actually probably do something cool for eyeballs on Halloween with this. But look at that. And again, look how great the stem length is. And, this is called pink, but it looks more purpley to me. And there's definitely, you pair this with queen zinnias, that family of colors, super beautiful, super beautiful. And again, great stem length. And I will tell you that I cut this morning myself. This time of the year, I'm not cutting as deep on things that might have additional branches down at the bottom because they're not really going to have time to regrow. So I kind of preserve some of those lower stems that I would have just whacked it down deep, stripped that off, and gone on about my business because it would just send up more and more and more strong, straight stems. That is not the case in fall, right? So I'm trying to make the most out of those stems. And here's case in point. So this is the Carmine Gumphrena. It's a different variety. We love drying this one. It's super hot color. I just went through, I didn't cut it quite this short, but not much shorter than this. I was preserving all those side shoots, which aren't mature enough yet, and I made it into the dried bunches. We've learned when we dry our flowers, we need to put them in the way we're going to use them so they dry that way. So I make the little dried bunches. So you need to know what you're doing with the crop for the most efficient use. to be able to prepare it. So that is carmine, which is just a great color. So this is Chief Persimmon Coxcomb. Look how big this stuff is, y'all. It's almost, I'm sure this is as big as my brain right here. Oh, we have two. There you go. Look how gorgeous. Oh my gosh. It is as big as my brain. We have confirmed that. Y'all, this is so beautiful. And you know, orange is my favorite color. How much orange coxcomb do you think you can grow in the fall? Well, we're about to find out, right? So this is persimmon, which is the deepest color of orange. And this is the Queen Improved. If you could see it in person, you would see that this is much softer color than the persimmon is. Look how gorgeous and just as huge. Again, having a fresh crop to cut from, it's just pretty dadgum amazing. And then this is Crystal Beauty. This is blush. How beautiful is that? And incredibly productive. And you should get on the wait list for that if you're at all interested. And then here's another one that we had the seed actually grown for us. Oh, look, there's a stink bug. I'm going to take care of that right here on the show. Everybody stand by for stinkiness. So this is Jura Salmon. We had this seed grown for us. And so that is limited availability. But this is truly salmon. Look how gorgeous that color is. Really, really. And yes, I grow all of these different ones, especially if you're selling to florists and event designers. Yes, you need all those colors, right? So this is the Higyoku. That's the dark colored foliage, red stem, deep red. How beautiful is that? It is, and these are huge too. Look how big they are. I think my brain's bigger than these, y'all. They're laughing. All right, now the universal color, which is gold. You can use this all the time, right? This is really, really beautiful. And again, it is supersized. To me, this is the perfect size right here to use in bouquets. But commercial customers and people at markets love getting the big brain flower, they call it. Super beautiful. Then this is the, I always say it backwards. It's orange red. I always call it red orange. So this is the most productive coxcomb that I've ever grown. Some of this has just carried us through our supermarket bouquet programs. Not as big. It was when it first started out, but this just keeps branching and branching. It is really, really beautiful. Oh, yeah. Yep. Look at this, y'all. Kramer's Mix. This is the coxcomb that was hybridized by the Kramers because they used to sell to the New York flower markets, and dried flowers were huge, right? So Mr. Kramer really selected this for its drying qualities. There's green, rose, and dark maroon. It's really, really beautiful. Totally love that. And then I told you I was going to talk about some of the crops that maybe you need to think about. Maybe you shouldn't be dependent on them in the fall. And that is zinnias, y'all. So the zinnias are still okay. They're very predisposed to disease. And they just aren't as big and gorgeous for us here in Southern Virginia at this time of the year. So this is one of those crops that you're thinking maybe you should have something else to come in or maybe not. I'm just saying. So this is Benary's Giants, and they are available in the mix that you're looking at as well as all in individual colors. And we just had big rain event here, so ours haven't recovered yet. So this week I'm really feeling like I want to get rid of them, but I should wait 2 weeks after the rain to see what happens, right? So those are Benary's Giants. Then this are the Queens. So this is the Queen Lime Mix. It has a little bit of everything in it. And again, just our volume's down because of the rain. These were made for fall. If you can keep them healthy enough without disease and things, these are really beautiful. I mean, these will go with, just think Victorian colors. It's just really gorgeous. And so this is the flamingo feather, which is a plume, celosia, and it starts off like a blush color. We really love this one. And it's a spicata. It's different than most of the other plumes. It's got a narrower plume, but boy, is she a beauty. All right, friends. Now let's talk rooster peppers. So I'm first going to show you the big picture. So these are rooster peppers. Now, rooster peppers is a variety. This particular variety was selected for its cut flower qualities. And I'm going to show you what that is right now. So I did not, all of these I stripped pretty much out in the garden. But this is what's special about this variety is that you can literally strip it very differently than what is accustomed to when you grow ornamental peppers. The foliage is up and right below the actual fruit. I did pick the hardest one to strip. I do this out in the garden so fast you wouldn't believe it. For a crop to be really profitable for you to grow, it means you have to be able to prepare it, condition it, whatever it is you're having to do, extremely efficiently, right? I can remember talking to Gretel of Sunny Meadow about peppers, and she said, we just don't hardly grow them because they take so long to strip. But there you go, friends. Oh, there's one. These grow with the fruit rising above the foliage pretty much so that you can just strip them out in the garden. Now, when they're green, they're great, but when they're red, this is where people make tons of wreaths out of these using them. So this is them turning red, incredibly useful. I mean, if you do fall farmers markets or festival type things, this is a crop that could be very significant for you. Now, for say that again. No. Well, they'll age. So somebody asks, will they turn after they're cut? I've never aged out a green one. Sorry, y'all. I've never monitored that. They do continue to mature. I would guess they'd probably start to shrivel. But I will tell you that green is incredibly valuable to florists. Look at the length. I didn't cut all of them. This one I left tall. I mean, this would be a high value crop, y'all. How cool is that to put into an arrangement? Because I can tell you the first thing everybody asks us, what is that? You know, I mean, it's just really, really cool. So rooster peppers we had grown for us, the seed. And so you need to hop on that if you definitely want some. You can cut them green and use them. You can allow them to stay in the garden and turn red, dry them. The person that I got the seeds from, Kathy Jones of Periwinkle Flower Farm or Farm in North Carolina, said it's a cash cow. They make wreaths all fall long out of them. And so, friends, what would fall be without marigolds? Now, these colors are all available separately here in the app. Look how we love cutting them while they're still green in the center. They're just, don't let them get bloomed out. They're going to continue to progress. This is how you want to cut them. These are just so very, very beautiful. This is like candy corn, y'all, right? And so here's more basil, and it also is starting to look a little peaked. This is cardinal. We love this one because it's got that dark flower in the middle that's a little flatter. It's not like just a single spike. It's a great filler for fall if you can keep it healthy, right? So this is cardinal. Then this one is purple ruffles. And I will tell you that we grow it, because it's a nice dark color. But don't put a bunch of sticks of this in a bouquet. It makes the bouquet so dark. One stick stands out and looks cool, right? So this is purple ruffles. But again, you don't want to plant a whole lot of that. And that is also true with this. This is Mahogany Splenda hibiscus. This is one stem. And you don't need but one stem of this in a mixed bouquet. It's kind of dark, but this is an amazing fall filler. This, along with Queen Lime zinnias and some of that Kramer's coxcomb, totally beautiful. Super tall and productive. We only plant, usually like even in high production, like 20 feet, because you get like 60 stems from one plant. And then y'all, my favorite sun is still kind of blooming out there. This is the Pro Cut Plum. And this is what it should be doing in your customer's vase. You cut them tight, right, when they're just starting to lift off. But this is just a great fall color, right? It's worth figuring out. That's the stage you want to cut them in, right there. They quickly go to all of this indoors, away from chewing beetles, and the petals just hold on longer. So that's plum, which is one of my favorites. And this one I can't believe, y'all. It's a cool flower. You know what this is? First off, look how tall it is. I have a whole patch of this out there. This is Sorrenthe. And I can't believe it reseeded. I would believe it reseeded, but I've never had it reseed to bloom in the fall. And this gets the most romantic, beautiful blooms. Sorrenthe is pretty winter hardy, I'm guessing. I think it's zone 6 is how it'll survive. Everybody should be fall planting this. This is one of the earliest, hardiest foliages that I have, and then it'll bloom even later. So this is incredibly useful, and that is Sorrenthe. And then, y'all, I took some great videos this morning out in my tunnel, and this just doesn't even do it justice. I tried to make kind of like the whole effect of what's going on out there. This hydrates beautifully. If you have to kind of train it when you're growing it if you're going to start cutting it. But as an ornamental, it has all those little squigglies and those little blooms. And look at those pods, the green, then they go to that amber color. This stuff is amazing. It reseeds too, but it is pretty amazing. Now this, you've seen before, but you've never seen it in this stage. This is what limelight millet will do if you leave it out in your landscape or in your garden. The birds will love eating the seeds, or you could dry it at this stage. It's actually pretty cool. But this is what the limelight millet looks like when it's more aged out, which is perfect for fall wreaths, y'all. I mean, imagine making little bunches of this and making wreaths. I mean, there is so much you could do. Should you? Not necessarily. But I'm just saying there's lots of options. So, friends, it's time for us to wrap up here. And remember to stick around to the end if you want to be a part of the Q&A, if you submitted a question to see if I get to answer yours. And so I just want to remind everybody that we have a big website that is so full of free resources. And that includes tons of videos, my blogs, as well as 2 podcasts. There's Seed Talk with, Field and Garden with me, and then there's Seed Talk with Lisa and Lane. And yesterday's episode that just dropped was Cool Flower Seedling Troubles. We have dedicated the whole month of September to cool flower troubleshooting and frequently asked questions. So you want to be sure, and that Seed Talk has a great video to go along with it that you can find over on our website as well as on YouTube. Now, this Wednesday, Dave Dowling, our good friend, and I mean, we call him the walking encyclopedia, right? Is hosting Ask a Flower Farmer. So if you have any of those bulb questions, tulip questions, ranunculus, dahlias, all of that stuff. In addition, he's the master of perennials and woodies as well as the bulbs. Check out Dave on Instagram, 12:30 Eastern Time on Wednesday. Get there early and post your question the minute he goes live because he'll never get to them all, right? So bring your questions. And remember to come back next Friday, same time, same place. And next week, Susie Q will be doing her flower arranging. And we have a winner of our $25 store credit. And I hope it's you. And if it's you, I hope you're here. And so our winner of the $25 store credit is Joshua Butler. Joshua, if you are here, give us a shout out in the comments, and then we will drop 25 bucks right into your cart. So when you go to checkout, you'll have a $25 credit. So congratulations, Joshua, and I hope you're here. That's just the best, right? All right, so let's take a look at some of these questions. So First question is, what size tray is that for the Mini 75? What is the measurement of that? They're going to look. Oh, Joshua is here. Congratulations, Joshua. So they're working right now, dropping $25 right into your cart. So when you go to check out, you'll have $25 credits sitting in there and waiting for you. Oh, it's pretty cool. So they're having the measurer. I'm going to guess and say it's 20. I'm sure it says on the description here in the store, but it's like 5 inches, probably 5.25 inches by 20, because it actually fits beautifully on my rolling racks, which are those stainless steel racks that you see in the big box stores. So yeah, and it holds 100 small blocks, 75 of the mini 75s, or 27 of the 1.5 inch, and it only holds 16, if I remember right, of the 2-inch blocks. So we're trying to figure that out. Do the mosquito bits dissolve in water, or are you straining them out? That's a really great question. So I actually put my bits in Tuesday night is what my goal is, and let it sit overnight so they're more dissolved, but they never completely dissolve. So sometimes they get into my trays, and other times I'll actually use on my watering can the sprinkler attachment, which is like a colander, right? And it actually just pulls those out. And no, I do not reuse those moistened bits because it's living stuff. And that won't work that way. They've been hydrated, and then they're not going to survive for the next week, is what I was told. So you can do it either way, but it's just a neater job if you strain them out. Can the heat mat get wet? Yes. So that's what's, horticultural seedling heat mats are made for. You can spill water on them and not have an electrocution issue, right? So they're pretty self-contained. And so, yes, they can get wet. Can the Neptune harvest be used on cool flower seedlings? Yes. So in my grow room on Mondays, I have to stop and think every time, y'all. I do so many different things on different days. On Mondays, when I put Neptune's harvest into the watering can, any tray that is under grow lights or on my carport gets Neptune's harvest. It doesn't matter if you're warm or cool, right? So all seedlings get that, with the exception. There's a couple of plants, and you kind of learn this. Like, I don't do cosmos. Cosmos, you don't want to over fertilize. That's not a cool flower. But like yarrow. Yarrow is what they call a lean plant. They don't want too much nutrition. Sometimes I might skip them, but you figure those things out. But in general, yes, all cool and warm flowers get it. The tray dimensions are 18 3/4 by 6 inches. That's 18 3/4 inches long, 6 inches wide, and 3/4 of an inch deep. And I will tell you that how shallow these are, yet they have a lip, is what I see as a big part of my success. I see people using tall-sided trays that block so much air circulation, and you just can't imagine how important that is. All right. When you use the Bio 360 in the fall, do you water the beds if they are dry before putting it down? So we make beds, whether you're making beds with a tractor, a tiller, or with a shovel, you don't want the soil to be wet. You don't ever want to work soil that you would consider being moist. That just destroys soil integrity, and you never regain that. If you make clumps in your soil by working with it when it's wet, they don't just fall apart like we like to think they do. That's a big problem. So what we do is make our beds when the garden is fairly dry, pretty dry, and then we install the Bio 360. We install irrigation underneath the Bio 360 most of the time. I have on occasion used it without. And if it is super dry outside, we will run irrigation. I know my friend Amy of Amy's Organic Garden, they sometimes run irrigation for days underneath the film that they use to really, when it's in the middle of summer and it's hot. So you can put the film down, you can make your holes, water, flood the bed with a wand, which that's what we've done, and then wait a while, then plant either later that day or the next day. But usually planting into normal soil, planting and then watering those plantings is usually adequate. How do you plant pumpkin on a stick? So pumpkin on a stick is an eggplant. And so we plant it 2 rows in a 30-inch wide bed, and they're 6 inches apart in the bed because we want them to grow tall and straight up, and that just helps that to happen. So I'll take one more question here. Oh, when? Sorry. Um, so if I'm doing this from memory, I think pumpkin on a stick says you have to look how many days from seed to harvest. I think it's like 65 days. It's fairly short. So I would actually, if I was trying to hit the October market or September, depending on where you are, um, I would do probably 2 plantings. I would do an early one and a little bit later and have it come a little bit ready before that time comes. It's no good to have it after Halloween, y'all. You know what I mean? So you want it ready by early October so you can cut from them that month. So I would do.
5 days from transplant
Where does that say that? Our website from transplant date? Huh. I think it's 65 days from seed to fruit. They're pretty quick. So I wouldn't plant these in spring, right? So you're planting them later in the summer. So you have to find that day, count back from when you want it. I'd have transplants ready to go in the ground, a couple weeks after that date, and then do one about 2 to 3 weeks earlier. So you have a wide window of harvest. This is one last question from the UK. My feverfew has wilted every time I've cut it this year. Any ideas why? Yes, I have a couple. One is you aren't stripping enough off of them because you only are leaving because feverfew so frequently has so many nice, beautiful branches near the top of the stem, and we just want to leave them all, but you can't. You can't because it won't hydrate. So we only leave branches that happen like within 4 to 5 inches of the top of the stem. The second reason is the time of day that you're cutting it. That's definitely an early morning or a morning harvest for us. And we get them inside right away. And then the third reason is it's too early. It's not developed enough, right? So those are the three things. But I think stripping is where I would start first. Because that is a really common problem. So, friends, we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you so much for joining me here today. And hopefully you saw the soil blocking process and maybe learned something. And I just appreciate y'all being here, and I can't wait to see you next week. Till we meet again, friends. Ciao.